Hey everyone, Forever Retro 82 here. Hope you're staying safe and being well out there. So beat 'em ups. Beat 'em ups are definitely one of my favorite genres in terms of retro gaming. And they were also a great stress reliever and time waster. I mean, say you come home from work and school and you use your noggin and you're just mentally fatigued from it. And I've been there. I'm pretty sure some of you've been out there either now or in the past. You've been there. Sure. Mental fatigue, it happens to all of us. So say you just want to fire something on and just mash buttons and not think about jack fucking shit. Well, that's where beat 'em ups come in. You just simply pop it in, press the start button, and then start mashing buttons and beat the shit out of enemies. And it's great, because you don't have to worry about cops banging down your door for assault charges. So, hey, it's a legal, perfectly wonderful way of beating ass. And on top of that, too, you don't have to worry about any kind of legal ramifications, because, assaulting people does land you in jail for a little while. It's an unfortunate state of affairs, but it does happen from time to time. But unless you get away scot-free, which, if there's witnesses and given CCTVs, anyways, that's besides the point. So before I, dive into today's main event, I would like to talk a little bit about beat 'em ups. Just a little, here, listen. Let's listen to old Grandpa Forever Retro 82 here to talk. Okay, so basically, back in the day, but in the late 80s and probably up into the mid-90s, we had beat 'em ups in the arcade. Now, our arcade, as you know, is kind of like in the up in the air. I mean, it was down for a while, but it's coming back in the form of barcades. Barcades are basically what it sounds like. You have a bar and you have an arcade. It's for basically for adults, us that remember that plopping quarters in some motherfuckers and playing them and having a great time. And then, of course, now you have people that are building arcade machines, like my friend Steve, and also we have like things like Pandora's Treasure, so we can basically play the arcade experience at home these days. We're not just limited to putting a quarter in and playing it and hoping the guy we find an arcade game to play the original source material on the original machine. It's hard to find nowadays, especially if you got the one-up arcade cabinets, but their quality is very questionable. I've had a couple people I've talked to who were excited about them when they were first rolling out, but it seems that the joysticks and some of the buttons break or wear down over time within the course of 6 months to a year, and that's unfortunate. And the same thing with Pandora's Treasures. Their joysticks and the buttons are not at the greatest quality. You gotta literally baby them if you want them to last for a while. But if you know what you're doing, you can fix them and continue to play. Besides the point, I'm getting sidetracked. It happens all the time. Anyways, late 80s, early 90s. We had namely two gaming giants that basically just made an amazing feat when it came to beat 'em ups. Like, one was as good as another, or one was as great as the one that came before it. It's great. Like, for instance, Capcom, we had great games like Final Fight, Aliens vs. Predator, excuse me, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, The Punisher. The list goes on. They made some very fun beat 'em ups on the CPS-1 hardware. And then you had Konami, who made great licensed games as well, beat 'em ups, such as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 2. And then you have the original stuff like Vendetta and Violent Storm. I mean, the list goes on. Metamorphic Force. That would have made a badass cartoon, by the way. I really enjoy that game. You can call it Furries the Beat 'em Up. You can do that. That's fine. Joke around. It's all in good fun. But, it's still a great game. It's short, yes, but most beat 'em ups are. Because, to me, if you have beat 'em ups that go for more than maybe 5 or 6 stages, it gets a little stale. I'll even admit that. They do get repetitive. But it's just, they're fun. Some of them are fun. Some of them have variety enough to make it extremely fun. Like games that are released on the Sega Genesis, like Streets of Rage. Streets of Rage 2 is still revered as one of the best beat 'em ups of all time, and rightfully so. You have different special moves, good characters, and probably the most legendary soundtrack by the one and only Yuzo Koshiro. And I'll say it once, say it again, I'm a huge Yuzo Koshiro fanboy. I love his music. I love all of his Genesis works, his PC-98 stuff, and the list goes on. But he is revered as a legendary composer like Hitoshi Sakimoto, and rightfully so. Streets of Rage 1 and 2. 3 is questionable taste. There's a couple tracks I like on 3, but honestly, to me, it's a step back from 1 and 2. And don't even get me started on Streets of Rage 4. Right. Anyways, so that was a good time. You just plopped in a quarter. Sometimes you had these deluxe cabinets. Oh, I forgot the one I should have mentioned, because it's important. X-Men in the arcade, the deluxe cabinet. You had 6 people. 6! You just plop in quarters, and you had 5 people. And you had an extra wide screen. Basically, it's different CRTs connected to make one giant display. Taito was the one that originally did this with games like Ninja Warriors and Darius. I don't know how it's pronounced. Sorry if I'm doing that right. If I'm saying it wrong, please correct me how it's said in the comments below. Right. So anyway, today for the main event, we got 4 SNES games in my collection, that are not ports. They're original beat-em-ups. A few of them are based on established franchises. 2 of them you can play with a friend. 2 of them are strictly solo ventures. Yeah, that sucks when there's a solo venture, because you would really like to play with another person. But I guess given the limitations of the 16-bit hardware, they had to dial back some. However, one of these games just recently got a re-release on modern consoles that fixed a few things, added a few things, and added 2-player support. And you'll see that game certainly during one of the points of this video. But I just want to say that I'm glad beat-em-ups are seeing a resurgence lately. We've been seeing them come back to making some fantastic games, and I will always love side-scroll beat-em-ups. You call them belt scrollers, to me that's a cringy term, but call them what you will. You can just call them shit games. I don't give a crap. It's your opinion. But anyways, let's just go ahead and cut this footage, and I'll show you exactly what games my personal 4 favorite beat-em-ups is on the SNES. So sit back, relax, grab a beer, grab some food, and enjoy the show, I guess. We're going to start off with one of my favorite beat-em-ups on this system of all time. And if you haven't told, that's Metro City. So you know what series we're talking about here. And it's none other than Final Fight 3. Now, you have your options here of 1-player, 2-player, but you even notice something here. It's called Auto 2-Play. That's for some of us out there that don't have any friends. Yeah, my life sucks. Right, so you have your standard options here. You got to play it in hard mode or expert mode in order to see the ending of the game. I believe it's expert, but I could be wrong. You can put your partner level. You can make him strong, or you can make him weak as fuck. Now, why would you want to do that is beyond me. But to make him weak, make him strong. All right, or normal. That's fine. I'm going to put strong because, since I have no one to play with, I am going to go ahead and play the auto 2-player mode. Now, for hit config is, usually this is known as friendly fire, but hit config basically, if you turn it off, you don't hit your friend, unless you like to beat his ass on purpose just to piss him off. Used to do that back in the day with a lot of side scroll beat 'em ups of this type. I will never use the term belt scroller because I hate that phrase. It just irks me. Anyways, auto 2-play mode. So you have 4 characters. You can pick as the 2 OGs, Guy and Hagar. No Cody because he's probably arrested by at this point, as seen in Alpha 3. You have Dean, who's an ex-Mad Gear, who's seen the way of good and wants to fight along your side. But Hagar does not trust him if you pay attention to the story as you play. Then you have a sidekick of Hagar's, Luca, who, if she had long hair, she'd be hotter, because I mentioned before, I do not like it when women have short hair. It's too mannish. Ugh. But she has muscles, if you like muscle-bound girls, too. Me, I like my girls a little chunky. Right, so I'm going to pick my boy. I'll pick this guy. And, of course, we'll pick Hagar, too, because we have to have the OGs. Okay, right off the bat, this music is awesome. So much better than the previous entry. The previous entry makes me want to punch a puppy. It is just absolutely terrible, and it makes my ears just want to scream. You don't believe me? Here's a clip for you. Let's never speak of that again. Now, there's a couple things I don't like about the game, and I'll touch base on those in just a minute. But you may notice I have the super bar. To do a super attack, you just press forward to down and Y, and that's with every character. And it does massive damage. So, I mean, you got great music. It's a little reverbery, but it's okay. I think it fits the bill. It's okay. And of course, there's the traditional SNES slowdown. Now, while you do have your standard beat 'em up things that you can do in a side-scroll beat 'em up, this game also has a special move per character. Guy has literally a Hadouken-like move, which I will do for you. And you do it the same way you do it in Street Fighter. Bam! Doesn't take away any health. The only thing that takes away health is your, what Final Fight likes to call Super Joy. Now, I guess we should touch base on the things I don't like about the game. Okay? First of all is the pause music. To me, that sounds like game over music. Fuck it, let's try it. Tell me I'm wrong. That's stupid. I mean, well, like, what if someone's yelling for you and you can't hear what they're saying because you have this playing? It's like you have to say what for the second time if someone yells for you. It's unbelievable. Anyways, the second thing I have to touch base on is, even though you may not notice it in the first stage, but you'll notice it as the game progresses, that the types of enemies you fight are very limited. It doesn't have much variety in terms of enemies. But, you know, it's fine. Like, I mean, I'm not like that. Like, I'll play, like, a lot of people bitch about Golden Axe for having little variety. I don't mind it, as long as the game is fun. I mean, as you can tell, there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, you could run, you can do running attacks, you can do special moves. And then, of course, with this title in particular, you have a CPU, a controlled opponent, to help you out. We're going to play one stage per game, just so you guys can get a feel, because I've already did a Let's Play for this anyways. Link in the description, or in your upper right-hand corner. This is the most Streets of Rage type music I think I've ever heard in a beat-em-up on the SNES. In a beat-em-up. The second would have to go to Yuzo Koshiro's own Super Adventure Island. On the final stage of the game. Yeah, the slowdown's a little pain in the ass, but it's Super Nintendo. I mean, it really depends. Really depends on the developers and what they use. Obviously, you know, there's a lot going on the screen. There's a lot of big sprites. I mean, the same thing happened with Final Fight, the original port that was on the SNES, which is butchered to shit. Now, if you can use your super on bosses, it's amazing. Yeah. Oh, damn it! There we go. If you can do that, it's hard to do on bosses because a lot of them will not let you grapple. But this is the first level boss, so he gives you a little bit of leeway. It kind of looks like Eddie E from Final Fight 1. I mean, his name is obviously Dave. What kind of a fucking shitty, unoriginal name they had to give somebody? They could have named him something like Bruce. That would have been a cool name for a cop. But Dave. Well, at least he ain't called Todd, for fuck's sake. Or Tucker. Fuck Tucker. Tucker sucks. But as you can tell, your player control guy is not all that retarded. I mean, yeah, he's not exactly the brightest tool in the shed, but he does the job. And that's stage 1 done. So yeah, you have a lot basically to like here. And it's great to play with if you have a friend that likes to play beat-em-ups with you. I suggest it. And then, of course, you can use a computer control opponent. Yeah, so that was Final Fight 3 for the SNES. This was released in the twilight of the SNES, which was in 1995. In fact, there was I can't find it. I looked for it everywhere. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's somewhere, and I probably just didn't see it because I didn't look hard enough. But it's out there, I promise you. There was an ad, I remember, in EGM that advertised this game and Mega Man X3, and it said that the slogan that I still hold near and dear to my heart: long live Super NES. And damn right, that the Super Nintendo is such a great system. It has such an awesome fleshed out library with tons of content, tons of genres to delve in, and plenty of variety to just keep you keep the gamers happy. Yeah, the game were expensive, and I'm sorry for my cats, they're fucking assholes sometimes. That's Mr. Mogwai. He likes to jump on my chair, and he also likes to jump on top of my entertainment center, which I wish he would stop doing. Right. This happens sometimes during videos. I apologize. Fucking cats. Anyways, so with Final Fight 3, yes. So, like I said, my only gripes with the game is obviously the pause music. I mean, that is, come on, that's game over music. That's probably what they were planning on doing, but they decided it wouldn't be good enough or it didn't fit the bill, so they just threw it in there as pause music. And Capcom's guilty of it. Street Fighter 2 was the other thing. You pause it and it goes, ho, 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 ho. Sorry for, I don't have an SNES sound chip in my throat, but it was like that too. I hate pause music because when someone's like yelling for you, like to get the phone or whatever, I mean, this is back in the day though, and you have to like ask that person like twice, what do you want? You know, it was a pain in the ass. I hate when Capcom does that. It just needs to go silent. That's the point of the pause button, is silence. Everything stops until you're ready to resume. My opinion, yours may vary. So, with that. And of course, the variety of the enemies, I always trip over my words. It just sucks, though. I mean, like, okay, Golden Axe. Ashens. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard of Ashens, right? He's a video content creator from the UK, and he's, of course, a British snob, like most of them are. I'm not hating on Brits. I'm just saying you guys are a little too snobbish for me, for my taste. You guys have, like, stupidly high standards for everything. It's bullshit. But whatever, that's your guys' jam. I'm not going to hate you for it. It's just, I don't like that. It's probably the only thing I don't like about the Brits. Anyhow. He claims that Golden Axe is, quote-unquote, fucking boring because there's not much variety in terms of enemies. Do you really pay attention to the enemies in the variety in which they are in a beat-em-up? I mean, if you do, then, you know, Final Fight 3 may not be for you. But if you just want to beat ass legally without having court dates or jail time or fines, it fits the bill just like every other beat-em-up out there. There's some poor beat-em-ups, too, out there. This is definitely a strong contender. It's definitely one of my favorites in my library that I enjoy, and I had to get it. And I got it back. Actually, I didn't get it. This game I did not get at GameStop. I got my copy at Game Rush, which was Blockbuster's game store that they had for that short period of time before they closed down. And it cost me, I believe, I want to say $14.99. The price might actually still be on there. No, it's a star. See, because if you want to look right there, yeah, it just star. So this was probably a rental copy, and then they sold it at Game Rush because they didn't know what to do with it. I remember I was happy with the price though, because I remember seeing it online for a high price, because a lot of late SNES games and NES games at the time even were high. I mean, now it's just absolutely ludicrous and not worth the money. Emulate the shit, you know. Fuck that, because Capcom doesn't get any cut from this. Only the seller does. That's what I don't understand about these people, these white knights. They annoy me. Fuck them. So, yeah, Final Fight 3 was also known as Final Fight Tough in Japan. So, it's weird, too, because Final Fight 2 was also called Final Fight 2 in Japan. So, why the fuck did they just not call it Final Fight 3 over there? This is one of the first times I have to say that the Americans got it right. The American release of the game. But still, regardless of all those little quips and little nitpicking, the game is great. I mean, even if you don't have a friend to play with, you can play with the computer. The only thing I don't like about that option, though, is the computer can't continue. So when he dies, that's it for the computer. You're left solo. But he's a good enough... He'll get you through the vast majority of the game. The game's only 6 levels long. And the levels they're a little on the long... They are a little on the long side, yes, but they're not, like, overly... It doesn't overstay its welcome. But, yeah... also in the description and in the video, and up there, you'll see an eye, that little lovely eye icon where I'm going to post my Let's Play. I Let's Played it and enjoyed it, and that was one of my first Let's Plays. But but I think that's all I really need to be saying about Final Fight 3. It's great. It's good stuff. It's one of my favorite beat 'em ups. I wouldn't consider it a guilty pleasure because there's quite a few people out there who actually think it's a great game as well. A great beat 'em up for the SNES. It has the usual quips of slowdowns and things of that nature. But if you played in the SNES as long as majority of the people, you kind of get used to it. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but thankfully we got hacks that fix the problem by using what is known as fast ROMs. I don't know if one exists for this game because the slowdown doesn't bother me. It's very low key. It's not like just like race driving. God. Anyways, the next game we're going to play is a guilty pleasure of mine, which is also slow, and it also has an interesting story behind it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and cut to the next game, shall we? Alright, a little bit of story before I play this one. I saw this at Skip's video, And I did not know this game was coming out. I didn't know it was being created. I didn't know of its existence until I saw it on the floor of Skip's video. Well, you know, the store floor. You know what I mean. When it was displayed and you had your little card. You had to take these cards and take them to the desk. And in doing so, they would take the game out of the back if the game was in. And you would play, and then you would rent it, take it home. Games were $2.50 a night. Well, it was 250 cents for the first night, and if you want to keep an additional night, it was an extra $1. It got pricey. Skips wasn't ideal, but it was the cheapest way of getting a membership somewhere. But anyways, I saw this, I was like, oh hell yeah, because at the time, naive young me was all, oh, Double Dragon 3 was really good, I can't wait to play the sequel, the sequel's on. You know, a lot of people like to say this game ain't canon, but I'm going to tell you to fuck off. This is the real Double Dragon 4. Not that piece of shit we got on Steam and other storefronts. That game was no more than a goddamn reskin of Double Dragon 2. And that's not a bad thing necessarily, but it could have been better given the love and attention that Double Dragon once had. And this game is proof of that. You can play this with a friend, of course, but since I have none, I'll play solo. Now, one thing I will say about the Super Double Dragon that is right off the bat that is bad is the fact that the game is a little on the slow side. But when you can do shit like this, it's worth it. If that's not enough, how about this? Yeah, you have real killer move lists that just make the game all the more fun to play. What really sucks, though, is hopefully I won't have it done to me when I play, but if I do, I do. Yep, there we go. You hit by a knife, look how much damage it does. Now, if you need to play this game, though, I suggest the Japanese version because some things have been fixed, some things make more sense, and it's a little longer. The game was ruined by a rushed time frame because at this time, Technos was bleeding money. So this game is unoptimized as all hell, but it's still a very kick-ass time. I mean, you play as Billy, Jimmy Lee, they got redesigns, they don't look as, like, plain and generic as they did in the other two games. They actually look different. I mean, you can see Jimmy's portrait on the upper right-hand part of the screen. He kind of looks like Guile with that hairdo, but, yeah. And then Billy looks, well, he looks like your generic, he looks like one of the guys that gets killed in an 80s slasher flick, doesn't he? He has that look about him. But yeah, this game's awesome. You have like plenty of attack moves. You got weapons. Like the nunchucks is my favorite because you can just spam the shit out of the enemies and it makes your job easier. But the problem is no matter how many enemies are on screen, one's always going to be in front of you and one's always going to make its way behind you. So you need to find a way to make sure you get one off your back or one out of your face and then take care of the other one. Like nunchucks. Now that was dumb of me. Nunchucks is a great weapon for that. Anyways, so the game runs really slow. It's unfortunate. But one thing I like to do is if you hold L and R, you see that gauge below my life bar that keeps filling up? You can fill it up all the way, and you get to what I call the methed out Akari mode. And this is where you can you look pissed off, and it looks like you're roid raging, and you're just rage quitting on these enemies. You're just pissed off at them. Unfortunately, I lost a life. But that gauge is very important to do some of the moves that are Double Dragon staples, like the Hurricane Kick. You gotta fill it up halfway, let go. I really prefer just the button command in Double Dragon 2 for that, but it's here. Unfortunately, the Rising Knee is not. And there's another move where you can do a spinning hand back fist, which I will probably do on the next screen. But the weapons are really useful, especially the bow and the nunchucks, because, well, they get the enemies out of your face a hell of a lot quicker. This game's a lot of fun, more fun with 2-player. It really is. Solo, it's alright. I mean, I pop this in every once in a while just because it's a fun beat 'em up. I mean, sometimes I can't help but think how awesome this game would have been if it was given more time. Apparently, if you go to Double Dragon Dojo, I'll link it in the description, of the real story of Double Dragon 4, of how it was going to conclude and what was going to be added. There was going to be like cutscenes and an actual ending instead of just giving the plain, well, the Double Dragons were never seen again. I mean, what really sucks is in the Japanese original, it just rolls credits. There's no ending at all. I mean, the American gets this stupid fucking paragraph, but you know, you have a little bit of longer gameplay. It's just you know, they had no money hardly, and they were just trying to make it out to market, and unfortunately it's unoptimized, but it's still a fun game to play. I mean, what is here is worth playing. I mean, and now here's that spinning backhand I told you about right there. Now sometimes it makes them dizzy, and then you can just beat the shit out of them. So you have plenty of moves to dick with. You don't have to just pound, pound, pound with the button and just be done with it. No, you can mix and match moves and just do a lot of shit. And there, of course, there is jump kick, if you care to know. Kind of useless, but hey, it's there. This game also has the unfortunate thing that beat 'em ups for game systems at the time had, where once you beat a boss, it becomes a main enemy. So there's that, unfortunately. Unfortunately, but it's fine. I'm getting my ass handed to me. Because it's been a while since I played. But it is a really fun game, especially with a friend. And it does... And I like the soundtrack, too. It's not too reverbery. And, you know, you can tap your toes to it. It's got some iconic themes, too, from it. It has a couple of remixes of the... of some Double Dragon mainstays. I mean, I'm going to link the stream I played this game on with some friends, if you guys care to watch that. It was on my, I believe my 38th, no. I want to say my 38th or 37th birthday. I don't exactly remember. I apologize. But, yeah. We're almost to the boss, so we can move on soon. If you guys are bored of this. I love this game, though. I mean, it's fun to play. It's kind of boring to watch, but it's kind of fun. It's pretty fun to play. It really is. Especially when you can do shit like this. That never gets old. Just crack him in the face a bunch of fucking times. Like, yeah! Eat it! Eat it, bitch! I'm a double dragon. I'm Billy Lee, motherfucker. Oh, there's also another move I forgot to show you guys that you can do with a kick. If you press down and kick, you do this. Okay, maybe the sword enemies is not the best enemy to showcase that on. Anyways, you saw it's like a double kick. And most enemies you do that to, it'll dizzy them, so you can grab them and basically mess them up some more. So you have a plethora of attacks, which is what the original Envision was. I just wish they could have finished that vision with the cutscenes and the story. I mean, like I said, I'm going to give you a nice little thing in the description of the story of this game, because what would have been sounds like it would have been absolutely amazing. Now, they recently released a BOR mod. I can't find it anymore, but I do have it on my machine, and if you guys ever want me to play it like on stream or something, or do a let's play on it, I can. And it's basically a guy who tried to recreate the original image of this game, which is pretty dope. Now, this is the boss. Does he not at all look like Rick Astley? Oh, he'll let you down, alright, with a left hook. Actually, he's not that hard. You just beat the shit out of him. The only problem is the other enemies. They constantly get in your way of attacking them, of course. And they don't stop coming, which is also annoying. Yeah, another enemy will come to take his place. At least he should. Okay, maybe not this. Maybe, I don't know. Like, this game is, like I said, the optimization of this game is absolutely fucking terrible. Okay, cool. This will make it, oh, he's already gone. So yeah, that's Double Dragon 2, Super Double Dragon. I know it wasn't much of, not much of that I could say on it. I mean, it is Double Dragon at heart, and it's really fun to play, and I would suggest anyone interested in Double Dragon, even though it's kind of an unfinished product, to purchase it, because it's well worth your time. Yeah, so Super Double Dragon, like I said, it could have been more if given more money and time. But yeah, here's my copy. As you can tell, I've taken great care of it. I bought it used for $20 at GameStop, back when Funko-Land name was no longer applied, back in 2000, because it was a game I loved from my youth, and I played it many times before. I rented it a couple times. I've also emulated it when I had a computer to emulate on, and wow, that was bad. That was back in the ZSNES days. You guys remember that shit? Oh my god, that emulator blows now. The sound core is broken, lag fest. Anyways, that's once again, not important. So Super Double Dragon, yeah. So it was basically, as you can see, it was been published by Trade West. They also published the first game on the NES, and then Acclaim did 2 and 3 on the NES. Now, the thing about Super Double Dragon, like I said, the development was, it was rushed, and they didn't have time to optimize it, and a lot of the inclusions that were supposed to be within the game were taken out to concentrate on just finishing the game. They were bleeding money, and they were hoping that this would get them out of the little bit of the debt they were in, and unfortunately that failed. Unfortunately, Technos closed very early, but it was later bought by Arcus System Works, and they made Double Dragon 4, which I'm sorry, that is not no Double Dragon. That's more like Double Dragon 2 Plus, if you want to be accurate. And then they've been making a lot of games in their River City series, also known as it's known as a lot of names. There's a Neketsu Kunio-kun, also known as Hot Blooded, I think, is the other term they have for that series. Anyways, some of you probably are familiar with games like River City Underground, River City Girls, and River City whatever the fuck they're on now, I forgot. But yeah, those are doing extremely well, so they're like, okay, well, Double Dragon 4 didn't do shit for us, so let's just focus on River City Ransom. And the Neketsu Kunio-kun series, to me, I mean, I have to give a big sigh, because Double Dragon was one of the forefathers of the beat 'em up genre. I mean, you had games like, of course, before Double Dragon, like Renegade, and I can't think of anything else, honestly. There's also games like that came after Double Dragon, like Vigilante by IREM. You know, the list goes on. But Double Dragon was special because you had like a karate style, the Setsoken, I believe was it, and it was based off actual martial arts. And the moves were animated well for the time, 1987. And it was just an all-around good time. And you could play with 2 players, and it was 4 missions. It didn't outstay its welcome. And it spawned a franchise that most of us know and love today. Like Double Dragon 2 on the arcade was, it was more or less just a reskin of 1. And, I didn't know this until later, because I never played Double Dragon 2 in the arcade. In fact, I didn't even know Double Dragon 2 in the arcade existed. I literally thought that was kind of like Final Fight 2 was on the SNES. That was basically not an arcade game. It was a game, just a sequel made onto a console. I was a young kid. I didn't know any better. And then Double Dragon 2, I finally played it on MAME many years later, and I'm like, wow, this game sucks. Because first of all, the slowdown was absolutely atrocious. You think this game's slow? Holy balls. Double Dragon 2, when you have more than 2 enemies on screen, it just crawled. It was absolutely terrible. And on top of that, it was just a reskin of 1. People hated it, and I can't blame them. And then 2 comes out on the NES that's loosely based on the arcade game, but you had like different moves and different things you could do, and it was just a much better game. And it even had the cutscenes and everything. And basically, that's what Super Double Dragon was supposed to be on the SNES. Was going to be another version of Double Dragon 2, except it's a whole new story and cutscenes and all that. It was basically going to be its own original game. That didn't work out because of aforementioned things I mentioned before. So, but I am going to make a link in the description of the Double Dragon Dojo. It's a website based on Double Dragon fandom, and it's based on, it has good trivia points on the Double Dragon series. Probably better than I can put forth for you guys on a video. So, yeah, Super Double Dragon. Excellent fucking game. You should get a friend to play it or play it solo. But if you need to really play it, I suggest, and I'm going to say it here on camera, emulate the Genesis, Jesus Christ, man. The Japanese version, because it's longer and it's just more fixed. The American version has some broken aspects in it. Like you'll notice that the color palette within enemies' heads will change on certain animation frames. I couldn't capture that, but yeah. Play the Japanese version if you can. It's longer. It's a more satisfying experience. So, that being said, let's move on to another game that, once again, I did a Let's Play. And it was actually one of my first Let's Plays on this channel. So, let's just go. Let's just keep the train rolling. Before I begin this segment, I want to go ahead and get my facts straight. This game is absolutely wonderful if you're into solo play. On the other hand, it's recently been re-released as a 2-player co-op experience. So if you want the co-op experience, I suggest getting the re-release if you own a Switch or a PS4. But for those who don't mind a solo adventure and for something that is absolutely breathtaking in terms of graphics, this is a good version. And this game is Ninja Warriors. I did a Let's Play of this as well, and I can't say enough great things about it. This game was made by Natsume, and it was published by its owner rights of the company, Taito. You can pick normal or hard, and I will tell you the endings do not differ if you pick either difficulty. They're both the same. So I mean, why make it harder on yourself? Just pick normal difficulty. So anyways, you got 3 characters to pick from. You got Ninja, who's my jam. Knochi, she's fucking hot for a robot. Yeah, if they need to make a love doll AI of her. Then you have I don't know how you pronounce this. I want to say Kaimatachi. I want to say. Hopefully I got that right. Japanese speakers, let me know if I got that right. Anyways, we are going to play this stage with Ninja, but we're going to also show off the other 2 characters in short clips soon after. I like Ninja because he's a big old brute and he uses nunchaku, which I love nunchucks. But the overall presentation, graphics, music, I can't praise this game enough. It is just, this is, to me, like God tier beat 'em up. I mean, look, I know you're like, this doesn't look all that great. Oh, but believe me, it is. I love the sprite work. I love how big the enemies are. That's probably why it was only a 1-player experience, because it required more power that the SNES could deliver. But yeah, you could pick up shit, throw it at enemies. And you may see that flashing icon. That's a bomb. You press X to do it. Bam. Doesn't take away any health, but you gotta wait for it to charge every time you want to use it. Now, Ninja cannot jump. I love that nunchuck shit he does. Just whips him around like it's nothing. Now, when I first originally played this, I did not like Ninja. I'm like, he can't jump. Fuck that. No, I was a stupid fool. He's awesome. Instead of a jump, he can basically bum rush enemies. Just dash them. This game also doesn't have that great a variety either, but it does get better as the game progresses. You do get some new enemies. I think this level is just to get you the feel of what you're going to be expecting. I hate these motherfuckers because they always duck attack. It's like, you're wrecking my groove. I like to have a flow in a beat 'em up if possible, and sometimes I just can't find it with this game. But yeah, I mean, you just feel every punch, every ground slam you do with the characters in this game. Now, believe it or not, this game's actually kind of a sequel. There was an original game called Ninja Warriors that was released in the arcade, and it was also re-released on the Mega CD. I explained all this in my Let's Play, which you will see here, to your upper right-hand part of the screen. But yeah, I mean, just look at the detail. I mean, you got... The backgrounds are nice. I mean, now we're about to get fucking owned by missiles and Jesus Christ. I always wondered why missiles are shaped like dicks. Does that have something to do with aerodynamics, or are they trying to prove something? Maybe they're trying to compensate that they got small dicks. Yeah, I know I'm getting fucking owned here because that's the name of the game. They don't want you to win. They want you to die. Believe me, they don't like you. And it goes on for a little bit, but not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And if you're ninja, you can just sit there and just bum rush the enemies if you don't feel like attacking them outright. You only get 1 life, too. That may turn off some, but given how you're just like a badass, and I've hardly ever used continues in this game. I probably maybe used 5 at the most. You get infinite continues, though. So there is that. And the boss music is epic. I meant to say that. Oh yeah, you can block too. I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry. If you hold the attack button, you can block. Now, I barely use that function because I find block in beat 'em ups, even like games like Knights of the Round, don't like it all that much. It just doesn't work. Or it works but leaves you open to attack. So it's like, nah. I just ignore it most of the time. But you may have use for it. I find it entertaining to go ahead and just throw enemies against each other. It's great stuff. Yeah, the first boss is nothing to scoff at. Yeah, but great music, great graphics, Awesome soundtrack. I already mentioned that. I love Natsume's sound. What can I say? And it just looks great. It looks fantastic. I could sit here and play this game again, but I'm not going to, because we have other things to do with this game. I got to show you the other two characters real fast before we can cut to the rest of this video. Alright, here's the hotness herself, the blonde hair. She was a character in the original game, but she was given a redesign, and my god, is it ever a redesign. I mean, she just looks sexy as fuck. I mean, a feminist. She's not dressed scantily clad. She's just beautiful. So there you go. You're going to find something to be offended about this too, aren't you? Of course you are. Because that's all you do is get offended over anything that makes a man smile. The harpies. Anyways, yeah, so this is Kunoichi. She's faster than the others, and she's just as strong as the others. She just has more speed. And her combo's okay. I still prefer ninjas. I know, a little biased there, but at least she don't jump kick as her final attack. I never understood that with some beat-em-ups with female characters. Their final attack and their combo is a jump kick. Why? Her jump kick's fine. I mean, see, I have a soft spot for blondes anyways. That's why I mean, if she's holding kunai knives, I mean, come on. You can't get any more sexier than this. So, let's see her bomb. Yeah, she just flips and explodes. I mean, it's nothing special, but it does get you out of binds if you're surrounded by enemies. Yeah, so this is Kunoichi. She's awesome. If you like female characters, I think you'll find plenty to like. So let's go and see the other badass I like. He's also my second favorite character. Alright, here's Kai Maitachi, or whatever his name is. I love this guy. First of all, he has sickles on his fucking elbows. Badass. He also has a pretty decent combo where he basically uses his sickles as like a spinning blade. Let me see if I can pull one off for you guys. I gotta find an enemy that obviously takes more hits than one. The biggest problem with him is he's far too weak. Like, his attacks don't do as much damage. Here we go. I love that. It's great. But his attacks make up for it. And yeah, I love kicking enemies in the background with him too. I mean, they all have their uniqueness, and you just gotta pick which one you like and go and run with it. I suggest the Kunoichi and Kai Maitachi, and the reason why I suggest those for newcomers of the game is because they're fast and they're nimble. Now, ninja's like reserved for people who like Hagar and Final Fight. But, I mean, your mileage may vary. But yeah, Kai Maitachi's awesome. He's my second favorite. I mean, I don't hate Kunoichi. She's hot as fuck, and, you know, she's fine. It's just, I prefer these guys. They're ninjas and Kai Maitachi's attacks. They're more my style. But as you can see, he's really lightning fast with his duck punching. I like how he crawls. It's like a spider. Yeah, he's an awesome character. So, I mean, you have plenty to like here with the characters in this game. And what awaits you is nothing but fun, excitement, great looking, great sounding gameplay. Okay, I know I overpraised this. Just everything about this game just screams high tier to me. This cover art is badass. Of course, the game, the remaster, reboot, whatever you want to call it, was called Ninja Saviors: Return of the Warriors because I guess it coincided, or the show Ninja Warrior, I suppose, has a trademark on the name Ninja Warrior, so they had to rename it for the Western release. But if you want to know how the game was released over in the East, in Japan, where we don't have such stupid quivery, it would be known as the Ninja Warriors Once Again. And this game in Japan was also called Ninja Warriors Again. I don't know why they named it that. To me, that just sounds silly, but whatever. They have their reasons. But yeah, this is more or less it's a sequel, more or less, of the arcade title. I don't remember the release date. I want to say 91. And if I'm wrong on that, please correct me. And it wasn't all that good. Like I said, I show gameplay of that in my Let's Play, and that will also be in the description, and then, of course, the thing that you see right here. Granted, that YouTube gets it to work, because I tried to do that in another video, and it didn't work. So I'll put it in the description just in case. Right, so Ninja Warriors. What do I not like about it? Well, the lack of a two-player mode, obviously. But then again, I don't think it's the really fault of the game. They could have scaled some things back, but then that would kill the overall quality of it. And I think they were looking for a high-quality beat-em-up of what the SNES could do. And that was the end result. And I'm not unhappy with that. Now, if you want to play it to the two-player, we have an option nowadays. And it's, of course, the re-release for the Switch and PS4 and whatnot. I wish that game came to Steam, but I guess Wild Guns sold poorly on Steam here, or sold poorly on Steam enough to say, okay, well, fuck it, we're just going to put our re-releases on the Switch and PS4, PS5, etc., etc., etc. And I don't like that because I don't really like... I'll be honest, I don't like the Switch, but I don't like game consoles anymore. I'm done with them. But anyways, that's besides the point, but... I did buy that, though. I do have that. I bought it digitally on my Switch because I really wanted to play it. And is it worth the money? Yeah, it is. Because not only do you have a proper widescreen format, you also have 2 extra characters, and every character has extra special moves. Now, I don't have a capture card or any way to do a Let's Play of that right now, but that could happen in the future as a possibility. So, yeah, So basically, yeah, it's a really fantastic game. It was made in made and released in mid to late '94, and it's a one-player. Yes, I mean, like I said, there's not much I can really say. I've already explained in a video. I mean, it's got great graphics, great sound, great gameplay, and the whole experience is fun. You never feel like it's too long, even though it is 10 stages. But it's fine. You won't even notice it. You'll just be beating ass, once again, with no repercussions. And who can ask for any more than that? I guess some people out there just require too much. But yeah, this was definitely well worth the money. I really loved it. I bought it for $20 on eBay back probably right before the boom happened. We've been in the retro boom for, wow, like over a decade now. It's disgusting. It may even be even more than that now. It just needs to die. Because, you know, that's one of the reasons I stopped collecting. But yeah, I do not regret any of the purchases, any of the games I show in this video. I don't regret the purchases on, regardless of their price point. This was probably the highest I spent on a beat 'em up. This was literally $20. And the others you've seen on this video, I spent below that. A couple more actually below the $10 mark. But that was a different time frame, my friends. That was a different time frame. Alright, so we got one more game to show. This game, it's a beat 'em up, but it's also kind of like adventure-esque in the layout and presentation. But I'll be honest, in my opinion, it's a beat 'em up. It's just a beat 'em up, but it's just a little bit more deeper than these, what some would consider shallow experiences, which I disagree. This one's a little bit more in story depth, and it also has some badass characters in it that everyone are familiar with, and so forth and so on. So let's go ahead and show that one off. So sit tight, relax, and here we go. Alright, we got Marvel Comics and Capcom, because they made an X-Men game. Now, this isn't X-Men Arcade, unfortunately, but it's kind of close enough. Anyways, you got a story, and it's also there's a story arc on the comics and both in the cartoon as well, because, well, one and the other coincide with each other. Basically, you start off the game by espionaging the land of Genosha, or the island of Genosha, just basically doing some things for Professor X, because he wants you guys to check it out. And the story goes on from there. It's not heavy story driven, but it's enough to keep you, I guess, interested if you're into the lore and the world of X-Men. Now, I usually choose Wolverine first because he has the easiest mission, in my opinion. But and Gambit's probably second. But yeah, you have Gambit, Psylocke, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Beast. I think that's a great lineup. I mean, especially with Psylocke, because you don't see her in many games other than the Versus games that Capcom made later on with the Marvel vs. Capcom universe. So we're going to pick Wolverine first because he's the easiest. But it's still difficult. That's my main concern about this game, is bloody difficult. Because the enemies will find ways to get you wedged in between them, and they will attack you, and you can't get out of it, and it takes a shit ton of damage before you get out. It's a pain in the ass. Anyways, the reason why I'm backing up here is because this game has special moves, much like Final Fight 3. I mean, it's Capcom in late '94. They kind of incorporated beat 'em up moves and fighting game moves and beat 'em ups, which I think was a great idea. First of all, he has a Shoryuken, and you do it in the same way as you would do it if you were playing Street Fighter. He has a dash attack, he has an upper slash, and that's pretty much your lot. And of course, you have the beat 'em up combo. Now, first off, I have to say this game is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the background. Look at all that detail. I mean, Capcom was definitely known for that. They love to put a lot of detail in their backgrounds in a lot of their games. I mean, the vast majority of them are just gorgeous. Got plenty to look at here. Once again, variety is a little on the lacking side, but that changes with basically with every stage you go to with the different characters. They usually have their different kind of set of enemies, but it becomes to get a little samey, but, you know, at the end of the day, who gives a shit? I mean, with Wolverine, you just have these soldier brutes that throw grenades and just try to beat your ass. Now, he can climb up ledges and walls, which is, of course, helpful. But it kind of doesn't help. Now, I can never get this fucking thing. Let's try. Nope. I could never get... I mean, I need to, like, one day look up someone else's Let's Play of that. I want to see how this is done. Because I've been trying to get this since I've played the game the first time when I was 12 years old. I can never get that. Nah, fuck it. I'm not... Nope. Could have done it for the sake of the video, but no. If you get 4 of those, you get an extra life with that character. So, that's cool. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not your typical beat 'em up. You can go different like areas and stuff. You can go up and down and all around. So you don't feel claustrophobic by just going down a one-way street. Going down the only road that one has ever known. But yeah, the enemies in this game piss me the fuck off because they always do cheap shit like these grenade fuckers always chuck one in your face and then you get knocked down and you gotta make your way back up. It's just annoying. Annoying. I don't see how that can be fun for anybody. Now we gotta fight a mid-boss, and yes, there's plenty of them in this game. We have basically a robo-fuck with missiles and all sorts of other shit. But one thing I have to say is nice is just because you touch an enemy, you don't take damage. That's one of the things I always hated about beat 'em ups is when you touch an enemy. It's like kryptonite for Superman, you know? You basically get hit when you touch them. I mean, shit, I should try that in real life. I should just go up to some random dude and just see if I take damage from it. I'll get a black eye just if I'm touching somebody. What the fuck's that about? Anyway, it's alright. We're almost at the boss with Wolverine. Like I said, his stage, in my opinion, is definitely the easiest. Some others may think otherwise, and you're well within your right. Alright, now we gotta beat this Sentinel head. I mean, this boss is underwhelming as shit. I mean, you just fight the head of the Sentinel. I mean, I understand Super Nintendo, you know, 16-bit limitations. There's not much they could do. I mean, it's alright, I guess, but, you know, I would have preferred something more. Now, believe it or not, the Sentinel's not your problem here. The enemies are. Because while they're stalling you, I mean, that's their purpose, you got this cocksucker just shooting shit at you. It's like you just gotta time your attacks perfectly, and if you don't, you're gonna take damage. And I would rather you didn't, because this game is very unforgiving in damage. And that's with all the X-Men. So it's like, you know, you might as well just call them pussy men because they're fucking weak as shit. Now you may be saying, why am I doing the jump attack and not the Shoryuken? Because the Shoryuken doesn't do any extra damage. It's pretty much the same. See what I mean? They attack you, and it's just, they continuously do it, and you can't get out of it. It sucks. Alright, so I showed you Wolverine's mission, and you basically have to go through each X-Men to do their own missions. I'm just going to show you each character a little bit. I'm not going to play their entirety of their stages. So I'll pick Cyclops because right from the get-go, this tune right here is an absolute banger. The very beginning of it. It's awesome. But I'll show you all the abilities of the characters. And then you should play this game yourself. Because there's a lot to see and there's a lot to do and there's a lot to hear. Because this game's awesome. If that's not SNES metal, I don't know what the fuck is. That's just, it just sounds so good. Anyways, with Cyclops, what can he do? Well, he can do quite a lot, actually. He can do a slide kick, optic blast, lower optic blast. And you have to do this with Street Fighter moves. Well, not so much with the slide kick. You just got to press forward, forward, and attack. It does that. If you do the Hadouken motion, down, down, forward, forward, and the attack, you can shoot your optic blast. Now, if you do that in reverse, forward to down, and Y, you reverse optic blast. Now, let's see how this goes on with the enemies. And yeah, most of them will die with one optic blast hit. The only problem is there's that little delay right before you shoot it off. So, yeah, Scott Summers is a badass here. They gave him a lot of good stuff, and rightfully so, because he was considered the leader of the X-Men. So, hey, he's got to have some badassery behind him. He has to earn that right, and he has the ability. And you gotta admire that breathing animation he does too. So, and if you look like close to his mouth, let's see if I can get it to do it. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, see that right there? That little bit of like, not smoke, but you know when he's breathing cold and like the heat of his breath, basically. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of it. I apologize. But yeah, the attention to detail in this is absolutely amazing, and that's why it's a single-player adventure. Because just they wanted to put that icing on the cake. All right, now that we looked at Cyclops, let's look at the other characters. Now we get to pick the Cajun. Yeah, this is Gambit. He's a pretty awesome character. First of all, he has a weapon, which is nice. I mean, other than Wolverine, this is the only guy that has basically a weapon that can kick ass. Of course, you gotta admire the standing animation. Now, his sprite looks absolutely fine. It's perfect. I mean, for this game. He has a trench coat, badass. To me, he's a very underrated character. A lot of people are like, hell no, he's overrated. Please explain to me how. Anyways, he has moves too. They all do. He has a Hadouken move. Now, when I say Hadouken move, it's down to forward and punch, mostly. So, most of the time I explain that. So, he can throw 3 cards, but he can also throw 1 card if you just press forward, forward, and attack. I mean, you're really not going to use this triple attack. I mean, if you do it like point blank with enemies, it does more damage, but not by much. I mean, you just use a regular card. You can also shoot it up, I believe, by pressing up, up, and Y. So there you go. You can throw a card, He has no sure you can move, and that's basically your lot. And of course, you have your flip kick, which is up and Y. All the characters have basically an up and attack move, and that's his. So, well, this is the most easiest enemy I could take out in this game. I mean, you can just spam cards and win, and it's not... His stage is probably the second easiest, because his abilities definitely fit the mark when it comes to taking out enemies and not wasting your fucking time, which a lot of, like, Psylocke and the next character does. See, you can just spam enemies in ways that makes it easier for you to take them out. It's so easy. I mean, if most of the game had the designs of the stages like this, because this looks like it was designed for Gambit. It's great for the enemy placement and the platform placement and everything. I mean, I love playing Gambit stage. It's a lot of fun because it looks like it was designed for him. And I like with Psylocke or even like Cyclops, I don't think their stages were really designed for them, but they have their moments. Yeah, but that's the Cajun. I love Gambit. He's awesome. If you don't like him, that's your problem. Anyways, let's check out the last character in this game, shall we? Now we're going to pick Psylocke. Now, the Sentinel's going to shoot a laser. Look where the laser goes. Capcom was thinking what I was thinking. It hits her right in the booty. Come on. You can't get any more clearer than that. So, here's Psylocke. I mean, I have to say, let's examine her sprite a little bit. Do you guys see the misproportion that I see? It looks like her neck is like right next to her shoulder, and her head looks small compared to the rest of her body. I mean, I'm willing to forgive that. It's fine. I mean, when you walk, it looks fine, but the standing animation is not very good. But I do like the attention to detail with the animation of her, with the water in the background. I mean, it's just a gorgeous game. Now, her, same thing. You have a Hadouken move. You have a Shoryuken move. And you have, of course, a slide kick. Now, there's one thing I have to, since I'm a perv, everyone knows that. I gotta show you guys something. Yeah, as a 12-year-old boy, that was a nice sight to see right there. Nintendo does what Genesis don't. So, I'll show you a little bit of what her abilities do. But yeah, she's definitely some lovely eye candy in this game. Her level's a little harder because there's more platforming segments, which I'm not going to show. Play the game yourself. But yeah, she has some awesome movesets for real, and she's very fast, and she's also eye candy. I mean, if you're a booty man like me, I mean, you can appreciate playing as... Yeah, see, look at this. I'm almost dead already. The enemies are just brutal here. See, like there. There you go. Perfect. See what I mean? Capcom must be booty guys, because I'm a booty guy, and that is definitely, well... I mean, don't get me wrong, the chest is fine too, but it's more curved up. But that's how she plays. It is a brutally difficult stage. She's one of the hardest characters to play. But let me leave you a parting gift. There you go. Alright, now we're going to, unfortunately, end this video, or in this segment, with probably my least favorite portion of playing with each of these characters. Beast, I like Beast the character. I like him in the show, and I also like him in the comic. He's a good character. He's smart, but for some reason, they just made his stage complete ass. He himself looks badass. I like how he flips and attacks. He's a brute just like Hagar. But for some reason, it's just his attacks are just too fucking slow to the point where the enemies can have their way with you. Now, if you could throw enemies, it would make it easy. But that's probably the biggest downfall with this game, is the fact that the enemies surround you and you don't have a back attack and you're kind of left fucked. But the only moves he has is his dash move with his head. And to be honest, that's about it. And this jump kick with the up and attack move. That's it. He lacks all the attacks that the others have. And once again, this stage does not, in my opinion, fit the criteria of what I would see Beast in. I would see Beast in like just some street. You know, just beating ass or something like that. Not a sewer. I mean, they pretty much gave Beast the shaft, and it upsets me, because he's a damn good character. He's very smart, but they just gave him little abilities. He's slow, and for this type of game, I don't think his character fits the bill. It's a shame, really. I mean, you can get over it, you can, but it takes a lot of practice and a lot of patience, and I'm getting older, so I don't have this. See, I'm already dead with him. And if you die with any of the characters, it's game over. You gotta start all over again. So, yeah, Beast sucks. I suggest playing him last if you decide to try to conquer this game. And when you beat it with everybody, or all their stages, then you combine yourselves together to go into four or five remaining stages. So you don't have your own stages anymore. You guys basically do... all the stages, you basically have, you can use all the characters on those. So this is like the first half of the game, and the second half you can basically use whoever you want. So, yeah, so that's X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. So let's go ahead and just give a quick overview of it, and we'll be done. Okay, I may sound like I hate the game. I don't dislike it. I do not like the difficulty, though. I think it's a little unfair. And the fact that some characters have these stages that just don't seem to be fit for them, it's a little bit of a problem. And, of course, the lack of co-op. But this game, you can tell, was not made for co-op. Here's my copy right here. And, you know, it's in great condition. I tried to take care of my games if I can. It's not a bad game at all, really. It just has its problems, but all these games I showed today have these problems, or have their own set of problems. No game is really perfect, but except my biasness, Ninja Warriors, or maybe even Super Double Dragon. But that's my bias. Everyone has their opinion, and that's that's one of the beauties of life, is to have an opinion, and these are my opinions. So. Yeah, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse is not a bad game. It's flawed, and if you practice at it, you will get better, you will beat it, and you'll feel mentally exhausted afterwards, because that's how I felt at the age of 20. And now I'm double that age now, and it's still exhausting, just to play the opening of the game. But the story is really nice. It's got you get to learn a lot about what's going on, what's happening, and the characters play really well. And so you basically have a it's a good game. I mean, there's not much I can say that I haven't said before about it. It's the detail is fantastic. The music is really good. The control is fine, and the fact that you have Street Fighter moves just like you did in Final Fight 3, that just puts the icing on the cake. It's a really good game. I just wish it was balanced more. That's all. If it was balanced more, then it would be a game I would come back to more often. It is a game I come back to more so than you think I would, but it's also probably, out of all the games I showed, this is probably the one I probably go back to least. But it's still a favorite beat 'em up on the SNES for sure. There's other beat 'em ups out there that, I mean, come on, it's better than Stone Protectors. You gotta admit that. You gotta admit this is better than Stone Protectors, and it's better than fucking Pirates of the Dark Water, because those games are boring as shit, and they're dull, and they make my head hurt because the music sucks. And then the game is just dull. You'll fall asleep probably by the time you get to the third or fourth stage. Both of those games have, like, you think these games may have bad variety in them. Now, compared to those, these are fucking masterpieces. For absolute fuck's sake. Anyways, so those are my personal 4 favorite beat 'em ups on the SNES that I have in my collection. Obviously, there are other beat 'em ups too that I don't own that I also like, but I mean, I kind of own them when it comes to a flash card. But no, these are the ones I go back to the most, though, for real, honestly. That's why they're in my collection. So yeah, so these, I mean, what are you... See, I'm all tripping all over my words today. What are your guys' favorite beat 'em ups? What do you like? Like, are there any beat 'em ups? Do you have any opinions on my choice of beat 'em ups that are my favorites, or do you have beat 'em ups that are on the SNES that you prefer? Now, I know I'm already seeing it right now from a mile away. Dude, no Russian beat. What the fuck, man? I don't like Russian beat. I don't like the only one I ever liked, quote unquote, was, I think it's called Russian Beat Shora, and that was the one here known as Brawl Brothers, because the localization of those games fucking suck. But not only that, all those games are just broken in their own little way. They're not good beat 'em ups. There is one Japanese game I was going to get myself a reproduction card, but now that I have an SD to SNES, I don't see the need for it anymore. Is Undercover Cops. That is a really damn good... If you guys haven't played that on the SNES, it's a damn good port. I mean, it has 2-player in the graphics, even though they're scaled back just a little bit. It still has that arcade feel with it, and the game is long, it's challenging. I played that on stream a couple times. Yeah, that's a damn good beat 'em up. But are there any beat 'em ups that you guys love? Is there any ones you want to tell me about? I would love to hear them, of course. I always like to hear from my fans and people who watch this video. But if you guys have any input, please feel free to comment below. And as always, I am Forever Retro 82. I am signing off. You guys have a great one. Keep gaming, keep loving, and keep it retro. And until the next one, we'll see you then. Until then, take care. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked what you saw and would like to support my channel, please consider being a patron. I'll put your name up with these fine folks who have donated to this channel, and that would be awesome to have you on board. If not, that's entirely up to you. I hope you have a good day and take care.